and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm doing the last little play with PandaHall's products that I recently unboxed. Now my last item on the list was this set of clear silicone stamps, and it had a die set in with it. Now I've already taken apart the die set and they come apart really easily. And you get 6 beautiful flower sprays here and 2 bows. I can pick it up. Okay, so that's what you get in this set, and then you get the stamps as well. So I've already unpacked them and I've had a little play with them. And today I want to show you some things that I have done. First off, I'm going to show you how they cut, because most people want to see how something cuts. So, especially if you're going to spend money on something. So let's put all these on here and let's cut these dies. So you put it on your platform, however the thin dies are set up. Make sure you follow those instructions. And I've just got a piece. I've saved up a lot of these. They come in the the foil baking tins, and they come with these on the top to put in the oven and heat up, and I like to save them. So, because I don't usually use them. Right, so I'm just putting that on my platform. I'm going to turn my switch on. Now, I purposely put a thick piece of card in this to show you how well they cut. Okay, so I'll just put my platform over here. And we'll pop these dies out. Okay, we've got the 2 bows. And where's the other? Where's my pokey tool? Okay, that one cut a bit close to the edge. And then we've got these ones. Now, the best way is to go up to the end of the stalk and put your pokey tool in and just give it a little press, and that will release then your beautiful die cuts. Alright, so that's how they cut. Aren't they gorgeous? Right. That is the cutting of these dies, okay? I'm not going to go into that because everybody knows how to cut a die and stick it on a card, that type of thing. Okay? So we're going to put them aside. And you could go and use that too in your junk journal or whatever. Just, I always keep my scraps. What I'm going to do different today, and I have gone ahead because I've showed you that it does cut through thick bits and pieces, okay, card. I have actually got, see, I cut some watercolour. I cut a heap of stuff over here. I cut some watercolour. I cut some of this silver card like you just seen me do, and I'm keeping all these bits to add to my junk journaling. And what I want to show you today is that I used some stencil film, and this is a 127 micron, and that is the thickness of this film. Okay, now I had to play with this a little bit and put an extra shim in it for it to cut through, and I probably wasted 1 or 2 sheets just getting the right thickness to go through my switch. But if you want to make these into a stencil, I would suggest you get a little bit thinner stencil film for it. I think this was just a tad too thick, but I got there with it. I finally got there and got the stencils made. But yeah, when you're looking for your your stencil film, get something a little bit thinner than a 127 micron. This is what I had, and yeah, so I just suggest that. But anyway, we got some stencils made. So what I want to do with these stencils is to use some of my, and we'll come in and we'll do the stamps in a little bit, but what I want to do is use some of my Inktense. And I've got some fabric here, some fabric scraps. I'll use this little scrap first, I think. And I want to use this middle flower. I think that is gorgeous. So I'm going to put my fabric down. Now this has got some, this is a piece of just doily, I think. Okay, I've got this little piece of fabric ironed. I'm just going to tape this down. And if you've seen any of my previous paint and stitch, it's sort of a little bit like that, what I'm going to do. So I just want to show you a different way that you could use your die set, okay? And you could turn it into a stencil that is reusable. If you don't want to reuse it, just use your cardboard cutout. It will be okay for one go with a little bit of water, and that could suit too. So I am going to position this on here, and we're going to do just a little paint and stitch with this die, and then we'll get into the stamp set. Right, when I paint and stitch, I really like to have a little wet tray. Okay, and I have got the tiniest amount of water in here, which you can see that this is just a tiny little container. Okay, so this is a dry brush technique. I've got these tiny little precision brushes to do this with. And I just love that this die set in here, you know, I could cut it out and I could do some cardboard things and I could do some cards for you, but I wanted just to give you a different look at them. So I've turned mine into a stencil. And I'm just going to now choose the colour of my flower. Now I'm going to put my brush in, get it wet, and tap it off until it's almost dry. Okay, it's not leaving any water on me at all, but I can feel that it's damp. Right, then I'm going to go and choose a colour, and I might choose Scarlet Pink 0320, 0320, this one. Now these are Inktense colours, they are permanent, and I've talked to you before about the Inktense colours. I'm going to start on the stencil and go off the stencil onto the fabric. Like that. Okay, I'm just going to wash that out and get a different colour for the centre. I might get a dusky purple. That is a really dark purple, 0730. And I'm just going to tap a little bit of that off because I don't want all that colour, and I'm going to put a little bit in the centre. Okay, now I'll wash that out, and let's put some green for our stalk, and we wet that and dry it off. And I might choose leaf green 1600. Okay, and I'm going to start on the stencil and just put my colour onto the fabric. And it's as easy as that. Just make sure you've got the tiniest amount of water. Okay, one thing to bear in mind too, that when you use the Inktense colours, they are permanent and they will stain. So they may stain your stencil a little, but it won't affect the use of your stencil. And look at that, isn't that spectacular? I just go wow every time I look at, you know, an Inktense print like that. So I'm just going to wipe off my stencil like this. And you will see just a little bit of staining, but it will not affect the use of your stencil. Okay, you can see that there is a little bit of staining there. Okay, so that's our stencil used. And it's just gorgeous. Alright, I've got the things that I need to sew and my hoop and everything, but I was having a little think and I got my green StazOn out, and let's have a look at this stamp set that comes in this pack. Okay, now when I get a pack of clear stamp, I always add a sticky tape hinge onto it because I always seem to lose the backs of these, and I think it's important to protect that. So that's just a little tip there. Now what I want to do is just have a look and see what could suit. I really like that because it looks like this, doesn't it? So I'm going to put my stamp on a block, and I might just have a little practice on some some fabric that I already have over here. It's always good to have a little practice because you just don't know how it's going to turn out. Okay, so let's have a little practice. I just want to see the shade of this green. Oh, I like that because it matches in with this shade that I've used here. So I think this could look quite pretty on here. Alright, so let's use that. And I've just used a little rocking motion just so it makes contact with all the fabric, and I just really love how that's come up. That's so pretty. Now remember, StazOn is permanent ink, and I think I might put on something else. I really love this little fern. These are beautiful, absolutely beautiful. So I wonder what that could look like there. Let's try it. They stamp up beautiful with the ink, like they ink up really beautiful. And when you're stamping on fabric, just give it that little second longer so that the fabric soaks in all that goodness. That is beautiful. Now it doesn't, I just tried it there, and it doesn't do a real good second print because the fabric just sucks all of that ink off it. Isn't that gorgeous? That is gorgeous. Now we've got a little, there's a little dragonfly there. We could put him up there somewhere. That would be cute, wouldn't it? Oh, I don't want to do a green dragonfly. Let's get our black out. And this StazOn dries really quickly, and if I happen to add some water over it, it's not going to bleed. Let's put him upside down. Oh, that's so cute. That is so cute. These are gorgeous, gorgeous stamps. Alright, let's put that stays on away before we get it stuck on other things. Gorgeous, gorgeous stamp set. Okay, so I've used both here already. Now I want to, before I go ahead with this, and I know I put my inks, paints aside, but I think I might put a little bit of colour behind there. Maybe an iris blue, and that is 0900. 0900. Okay, I'm just going to, yeah, that's really blue. I'm just want to put just a bit of colour like on it. Just, I don't know what I'm saying here, just I like how it's sort of picked up that colour again on the green. Alright, I'll just wash that, and then I might add some sienna gold, which is 0240. 0240. Just like that. I just wanted a sort of a really light background, and when that dries, it will dry a lot lighter than what you can see there as well. Okay, nice. Now, if you don't want to do that sort of background, just leave it out. It's as easy as that. All right, let's get my put it on this side so that stays out of my way, and let's get this on the hoop. Okay, it's in my hoop, and I am going to do just some really simple stitching. I'm going to come up at the bottom, and I'm just going to do a nice little running stitch for my stem. When I get to the leaf, I'm going to just do a little lazy daisy stitch. Like that, and then I'll come back to the stem. And it's just given me a little bit more definition in that. I think it's just so pretty. Now I want to do a purple center, and I think I'll do some French knots in the center. And it's just a matter of just using what you have. That, you know, the threads that you use are just whatever you can find in your stash. Don't get too fussy. And I'm just going to put some little straight stitches in here. Alright, now what we're going to do is I'm going to get my awl and I'm going to just tear that a little and then rough up these edges. Just fray them. And then I've got a piece of card here, which I don't think I cut very straight, but I'm not worried about that because I'm going to give it a tear. Right, I'm going to get some of my tea dye ink and let's add some colour onto here. Alright, then we're going to pick some of these stamps. Okay. And I'm going to pick some of these to put on the background. I think it needs a little bit of writing. So let's just tear off some dictionary page just to give it that little bit more interest. Sort of missing words, isn't it? And we'll give that a tear in the same spot. Okay, let's get my whale punch, and I've got some of this gorgeous, my whale tail. I've got some of this gorgeous scrapbook paper. I think it was called Pretty Petals. I got it from Spotlight. It's just absolutely gorgeous. So let's put a little tab on there. That's better. And then let's have another look at it. This is just evolving how it wants to. Okay, and now I want to glue on my flower bit. picture. Now this glue stick will stick fine just for putting this onto some cardboard. You could sew it on if you wanted to. That would look good. And it dries clear, so don't freak out that there's purple stuff all over it. I'll put it down there. Come up just a little bit. Okay. And I'm just going to put that into my hole. Right, now I think we need something else on here. A bit of writing down. Yeah, like that. Might even put a little bit up here. Yeah, like that. Okay, so my last video for PandaHall was having a play with this stamp and die set, and this is what I've done today. I've made a journal card, and I have turned these dies into a stencil so that you can use it in a different way. Like, we can all cut out a die and stick it on something, but it's just taking those dies just one step further and utilizing them for something different. So it's just getting the most out of your dies. Let's have a little closer look at it. I love doing the paint and stitch, and the Inktense blocks are just amazing when you use a dry brush technique. So we've stenciled it with this middle flower, and you could use other flowers. This one here would look beautiful, absolutely beautiful as lavender. Absolutely beautiful. And then, like I said, I stitched it, and then I bought in the stamp set and used this fern one, and which other one? This one here, to add some background to that. And that was done with the green stays on, these background stamps. Then I've used a black stays on to add a little dragonfly, which is here, which is super cute. And then I used a distress ink to add background then onto my backing card, the grass and just different other pieces of the flower prints in here, just to give that depth of detail. And then I just backed it onto this card, and yeah, Bob's your uncle. Like, it's just so pretty, it's so different. I'll put something on the back of that so it'll turn into a journal card. But I just love the use of these stamp and die set in this way. It's just different, and I just love using something to do something different with. Like, when I first got this stamp set, I thought, yeah, I'm going to have a play with it, and I had a play with it. Can you see the mica powder? There you go, you can see it shining there. Isn't it gorgeous? These are some of my mica paints, and I just used the black ink on top of it just to have a play and get a feel how the stamps work. And you know, when you get a new stamp set, it's good to do that, just to have a feel how they work and how they stamp. There's very, very, very fine details on these stamps, and they come out beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Now on fabric, they came out just as fine. On my tea dyed paper, they blurred a little, but I think it had something to do with the different colour ink, but that was the look I was going for anyway. So I hope you've enjoyed looking at this stamp set and this die set from PandaHall, and what you can do with it. Think outside the box, guys. Use your, you know, because we all pay money for these things, and get the most out of them. And I feel like I've got the most out of it because I've done a lot of just die cutting before and putting a die cut piece of paper on. But I just wanted to take it that level further. Alright, now don't forget all these products, this and this comes in a set. The link will be down below for that, and all the links will be down below for PandaHall. And don't forget, when you're in there, to make an account, make a love list, pop all your things in your love list. They've got some beautiful craft supplies in there. And thank you, PandaHall, for sending me this lot of craft goodies to showcase for you. I've really appreciated that. And if you're interested in them and you've got something in your checkout, don't forget to put my coupon code in, YXYTValita, at checkout, and you get 10% off. Alright, I had fun doing that today, and I hope you had fun looking at that. And I will see you soon for a new video, a new make. Take care, and bye for now.